I try to be as brief as I possibly can on this. We had that breaking news that Disney is going to be suing Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. And I'm going to have some thoughts that some people are going to disagree with me on. Others will agree, but that can be said basically about everything it is that I certainly say. As documented here by NBC, Walt Disney Company on Wednesday filed a lawsuit in federal court. It's always a problem, sad thing when the federal government has to get involved or people feel like they need to get the federal government involved in something like this. Says against Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and other officials alleging a targeted campaign of government retaliation. Disney and DeSantis have been embroiled in a feud over Walt Disney World's self-governing privileges in the Orlando area, which the possible Republican presidential contender has threatened to revoke. The corporation is one of the state's largest employers and a key driver of tourism. Of course, they're talking about this parental rights bill. That's what Disney is certainly alleging out of this, that they are using their response to really target and punish Disney. That's what the argument, in short, that Disney is making. Disney lawsuits filed in U.S. District Court for the Northern District of Florida dramatically escalates the fight. The company alleges that a retaliation campaign was orchestrated at every step by Governor DeSantis as punishment for Disney's protected speech, and now threatens Disney's business operations, jeopardizes its economic future, in the region, and violates its constitutional rights. Disney regrets it has to come to this, the company said in the first section of the lawsuit, but having exhausted efforts to seek resolution, the company is left with no choice but to file this lawsuit to protect its cast members, guests, and local development partners from a relentless campaign to weaponize government power against Disney in retaliation to expressing a political viewpoint unpopular with certain state officials. Now, DeSantis a spokesperson for DeSantis has claim this. And before I give you my thoughts, or I'll give you this and then I'll give you my thoughts. We are unaware of any legal right that a company has to operate its own government or maintain special privileges not held by other businesses in the state. The lawsuit is yet another unfortunate example of their hope to undermine the will of the Florida voters and operate outside the bounds of the law. Okay, so this has been my problem with this whole ordeal, and I talked about this before. Some of you guys are, and maybe there are people out there that do look at it as a retaliation thing. You think that Disney is doing something that is very bad, and therefore, because they've been able to operate as they have been, well, that should stop. I've worded my position exactly like this. My problem has never been with Disney being able to have some sort of, with the property that they own, self-governing privileges or rights. My issues are that does not apply to everybody else. So to me, and this is where I differ from, of course, the DeSantis types and maybe some of you, is that the solution to me has never been to, okay, we're going to revoke their ability to govern themselves and we're going to force them to pay taxes like everybody else. My argument would be, how about we offer these privileges to everybody else, individual property owners, business owners as well, allowing them that access, or rather allowing them to keep their own damn money and not have to give it to criminals known as the government, that's all that is, a band of criminals. That is the perfect solution, because as it stands right now, because they do a lot of that stuff themselves, they have, of course, particular tax privileges as well as self-governing rights that everybody else should have, but they don't. Okay. Now, you have people talk about this whole thing of corporate welfare. I've always, like, that term should be, it should only apply if people are getting some sort of subsidy. And I'm not saying these subsidies in a form of like a tax break. No, because that's not a subsidy at all. I'm saying like there's money that is there that has been stolen from the people, and then that is then rerouted to someone else. That's corporate welfare, grants, that type of stuff. Okay. them keeping their money, even though I don't support the company, okay, they should be able to do that. As long as it's voluntarily arrived, they should be able to do that. They have, yes, got a competitive advantage because of the Reedy Creek, because of everything that they've been, this whole infrastructure that they've had built for them over the last several decades. But the solution is never that, to, hey, let's make them pay more so we can have everybody be equal in that sense. No, how about this? The more preferable solution is, how about the people of Florida be able to have those rights, especially property owners, have those rights themselves that Disney has. And let's really see who's competitive in this market. Now, that way, the state does not get the money. The last bit that I want to talk about on this whole suing of DeSantis, Disney themselves does not care about the government and their power being weaponized against other businesses. They do not care about that. Effectively, that's been exactly what's been happening when those rights have not been able to be exercised by the people of Florida. On the other hand, Disney, as well as their conglomerates, as well as their various different businesses that are under their wing, spent 2021 using their properties to lecture people and advocate government, be involved in some form of jab mandates, as well as trying to legitimize lockdowns even at the beginning of this, okay, during 2020. That was the government. We'll probably never see a more blatant example of the government, both state and in federal cases sometimes, being weaponized against other businesses, right? And we saw small businesses in particular, when it came to lockdowns all across, and these are lockdowns and some form of shutdowns that were orchestrated by governments in states that Disney properties operate. And they didn't just, it wasn't that they didn't say anything about it, that they advocated it, okay? So they do not care at all about the government being weaponized, and then that stifles some businesses. That happened to small businesses all across the country, and a lot of them didn't get on the other side of this nonsense when y'all was selling that sham that is COVID, okay, and the overreaction. If they actually gave a crap about that, they would have certainly been using their power. And about power, I'm talking about in the sense of, you know, it's Disney. It's a massive company. Words carry a little bit. They didn't do that. However, what they are mad at, it's not the constitutional rights. It's not government being weaponized. It's that, well, they are now feeling the brunt of it. And it's impacting them. And so now they have a problem with it. Really that simple. If you enjoyed this video and want to support other content, please become a member at ericdjuly.com. This is my own unique platform that replaced my Patreon. Our Ultramax, which is our highest tier, gets free shipping domestically, even with Rippaverse orders, and are able to redeem the Creators Edition copy of ISOM #1. You can move up and down tiers or cancel at any time. Also visit Rippaverse.com. This is my comic book company that launched a $3.7 million campaign. We appreciate your support.